Hello and welcome. You're watching BTTV. I'm Tanya Neja. Well, it's the earnings season and the company on our radar today is Biocon Biologics. The company's revenue was recorded at 2015 odd crore rupees, and that was up around 106% from 977 odd crore rupees in the first quarter of the last year. But we have the management with us who will decode the earnings for us. We have with us Mr. Shreehas Tambe. He's the CEO and MD at Biocon Biologics. Thank you so much, sir, first of all, for taking the time out and joining us here on Business Today Television. Stellar set of numbers, but help us understand, what really led to this kind of growth and how do you plan to sustain this growth going forward?
Thank you for having me on your show. And you're absolutely right. We've had a very strong performance this quarter, led by revenues and revenue growth in the US for all our products. Pegfilgrastims led the show, but there's also been growth in our insulin glargine and our biosimilar trastuzumab or Vibri. Has also grown in market share over last year. So I think there's been a all across the board growth in market shares, which is really driven a growth that we've seen coming in very strong in this quarter. We've also seen performance in Europe grow over last year, and that's been on the back of the gains that we've had in biosimilar bevacizumab, where we've seen a very strong growth of that product, and we continue to look forward to all those 8 products that we've got in Europe to drive growth, because there's significant opportunity that we see there to drive growth in the in the coming quarters. Particularly glargine is going to be our growth driver, and we look forward to biosimilar adalimumab being our growth driver in the quarters to come. We'll of course wait for Aspart approval from the FDA to drive growth towards the end of the year.
Okay, and also, sir, the company has mentioned in the press release that the market shares of the key brands are gaining traction, and it shows an increase in demand across several markets. So, if you could, quantify that number for us.
So if you look at our top 3 products in the US that we've got, and that's glargine, let's say insulin glargine is sold as unbranded and as the branded version together, we have a market share of just under 12%, and the new prescriptions are trending at around 15%. So that's a good leading indicator of getting to the mid-teens that we've been talking about. We've also looked at pegfilgrastim, which I talked about, where we are now, for the quarter ended June, we're at 16% market share, and today at the end of July, we're trending even higher at almost 19%, and our product Fulphila, biosimilar pegfilgrastim, is now the market leader in the US with the highest market share. We've also got biosimilar trastuzumab, which is branded Ogivri, and that's also trending around 11.5%. So all these 3 products have shown strong growth and strong market shares.
Okay, absolutely. And core EBITDA, if we talk about, that stood at 513 odd crore rupees. That is up around 42%, reflecting margins of 28%. But what's the outlook going forward when it comes to margins, and how do you plan to sustain this kind of growth?
Yeah, so we've always guided towards a mid-30s kind of a core EBITDA margin. That essentially reflects towards a very strong health business, and we're looking to do that in this fiscal as well.
Okay. Also, sir, you have mentioned that net R&D investments that stood at 259 odd crore rupees. So I want to really understand, where is these investment going?
One of the differentiated play that we have, and we are probably unique in this, is that we have one of the strongest portfolio in the industry. We have over 20 molecules which are under development or as commercialized. 8 of them we've brought to the market. They have been approved in the EU already. We're going to bring products to the US. 4 of them, with the launch of biosimilar adalimumab, have been commercialized in the US. We have a strong pipeline of products, and as we bring these products from the labs into the clinic, we see the expenses, or I would say rather investments on these products increase. And that's why you see that increase from last year to this year as products mature and get from lab to the clinic.
Okay, absolutely. And you have also mentioned that the company launched its fourth biosimilar in the US. So, if you could touch upon that, and also it has also unlocked new growth opportunities for its biosimilar insulin glargine. So, if you could tell us more about these two biosimilars.
Yeah, the biosimilar adalimumab that we've launched in the US is branded Julio and is one of the most substantial opportunities. It's the largest opportunity in the US, and it's the first in the Part D space that the US talks about. That's how the market is calibrated, and we see that being a huge growth driver for us. There's enough and more for everyone to play in that market. We believe that will drive growth towards the end of this fiscal and into the coming calendar year 2024. So clearly that's a big growth driver for us. We also see the growth that we talked about in insulin glargine, that's branded Semglee, coming through two major accounts that we've recently won exclusively, where there's no other competition which has been given an opportunity. So that's really been a very good, strong success. That's been with a closed door network, managed care customer. And the other one is a commercial payer, which will start at the beginning of next calendar year. So the commercial payer starts next calendar year, and the closed door network managed care account has already begun this year, this quarter. So that is what we are expecting to drive growth.
Okay, absolutely. And sir, the company is also exploring, additional business opportunities in key clusters you have mentioned during the quarter. If you could tell us about that, and what kind of contribution are you expecting, from the recent launches when it comes to the top line growth?
Yeah. So when we look at key business opportunities overall, I think what we are looking at is to see how can we explore and take our products beyond what we are doing today. And I think we've been very successful in either in licensing products or out licensing them. This quarter also saw some of those opportunities. We've now set up a separate dedicated focus on business development to focus on these opportunities. Going forward, you will see us develop these partnerships further as we look to bring more products, and also look at seeing how we want to develop this on a risk reward basis like we've done in the past.
Okay, absolutely. And you have also mentioned that the revenues and margins, they were impacted due to phasing of the tender business in emerging markets. So when do you expect this to normalize?
Yeah, so just two things I want to clarify here. I think the margins or the quality of earnings this quarter were impacted because of what we talked about in the rebates, the higher rebates on legacy contracts that were there in the US for pegfilgrastim. That's impacted, of course, both revenues and the core EBITDA margins and the EBITDA, of course. But the revenue itself has a little bit of an impact because of the tender phasing in emerging markets. And as you know, the emerging markets operates largely on a tender basis, and very difficult to predict it on a quarter by quarter basis. But over an annual window, you will see this play out in the way that we've tracked.
Okay, absolutely. And on that wonderful note, thank you so much, sir, for taking the time out, for sharing these wonderful insights with us, and all the very best for the coming quarters as well.
Thank you very much.
So with that, it's time for me and my team to wrap up this episode. But you stay tuned for all the latest market updates, and many thanks for watching.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.